Hello, everyone. My name is Marilyn. I'm a women tech maker ambassador from Lebanon, and I will be your host today. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very happy that we have you showing up because your presence is just a reminder of how much we need spaces like this as like this community. So back to today's topic, we are going to discuss something that is familiar to many of us, which is the feeling of having something holding us back from achieving the career that we truly want. And it could be maybe where we come from, our current situation, or the limits that you have come to accept. And this is why today's session is very important because we have the chance to hear from someone, a woman, who has faced these kind of challenges and have found a way through them, not only for herself, but for other people she has helped along the way. And this is my genuine pleasure and honor to welcome you, Razan Manan. You have over 15 years of experience working at global companies such as Google, Delivery Hero, General Motors, and you have built a career that crosses industries and countries and expectations. And you have done that by breaking barriers and redefining what success can look like. And this is amazing. And what makes you even more special is your commitment to help others grow. You have been mentoring people who were facing career transitioning, personal development, business challenges with honesty, empathy, and real desire to help others grow. And I would like to say a final note to the audience. I want you to take um, your time to listen carefully to what Razan is going to share because she's going to talk about her personal journey, the lessons, and her experience. And you have this opportunity to reflect on it and see how it could apply to your own career path. And make sure to hold on onto your thoughts and questions because at the end we are going to have a Q&A, and make sure to join in the conversation. So that's it. And thank you a lot, Rezan, for being with us today. And the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for the stellar intro. I'm really humbled. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all doing great. Ramadan Kareem, and wherever you are, I hope you're doing great. And I'm so happy that you're joining us today. And we're gonna spend the next 2 hours together. We have a lot of things to talk about, and I'm excited to share my journey and also listen to your questions and answer it. And um, today is going to be a mix of my story, my journey, and the lessons that I learned throughout the journey I had, as well as some tips and insights for you to do. And I'm going to be, as usual, I'm going to be as honest as I can. And I might give you some advices that unconventional, you're not used to hear it, but just take it, take whatever you like out of it, and the rest you can throw it away. And I really hope you all enjoy today's session. Cool. So we're going to start with we're gonna start with like 4 areas. First, I'm gonna share with you a bit of my story, because not because I love to hear my story, but because my story has a lot of of the stuff that we're gonna talk about today, and then we're gonna talk about what usually hold us back. And then we're going to talk about how can you land opportunities in big companies. And then I am going to close off with things to reminder. So we have someone here saying, can you explain in Arabic? I'm going to try, but today we're going to be more on the English side. because kind of we have a lot of stuff, and to be honest, it's easier for me to talk in English in this particular topic. الليلة مساء الخير، رمضان كريم لكل الناس. and الليلة حنتكلم عن 4 حاجات. حنتكلم عن الرحلة بتاعتي، حنتكلم عن الحاجات اللي بتخلينا إحنا to hold back، حنتكلم عن how to land، كيف نلقى فرص عمل في الشركات الكبيرة، وحنتكلم عن حاجات تخطوها في بالكم وإنتوا بتبنوا في الكارير بتاعكم. Okay, my story. So my story is, okay, before we go this, if I want to tell my story, my full name is Rizan Ishaq Muhammad Atamanan. I am 42 years old. I born and raised in a small island in middle of Khartoum called Tuti. I studied all my study in Sudan, in Khartoum. I studied in very local schools. I went to University of Khartoum. I studied statistics. And when I was taking my secondary level school, I didn't know what did I want to be. I didn't know. I was very, very confused. I only knew one thing. I knew that I didn't want to be a doctor and I didn't want to be an engineer. That's the only thing I knew. So I just applied. The first kind of college that made sense to me at that time was economics. So I went to School of Economics, and then I love math. So I ended up in statistics, and I loved it. However, when I graduated, and after a couple of years from graduation, I went to Dubai, I discovered that I actually studied history of statistics, not actually statistics. Like the curriculums and the subjects were very, very old. That was, the world has way moved beyond that. Anyway, the reason I'm saying this is a lot of people who are watching us today, they might be thinking, oh, I did not study at an Ivy League. I did not, I don't come from like a first world country. I don't have a passport. All of that does not matter. So since I was very young, I loved reading books. And I used to listen to the radio, and particularly BBC. And the reason is kind of hearing the news. Kind of at that time, we didn't have internet. There was no TikTok, there was no Instagram. So it kind of, I was always listening, seeing that there is world outside where I'm living. Also, reading books kind of open your eyes to the world, because when you read books, like I remember reading a book called Peace and War by a Russian writer called Leo Tolstoy, and it's actually about the Russian culture. So when you read books, you actually learn about the cultures of people. You read Latin America, you read about Europeans. So it's kind of culture and people and how they think. Anyway, long story short, I graduated. I thought I'm gonna work in statistics. No, I did not. I end up working for HR by chance. I went with a friend to the cinema. We are in the cinema. We heard that there is job applicants in hotel, which is nearly opening. We went, we applied, I got the job. I thought I'm gonna just do that job HR for like 6 months, 7 months until I find a job in statistics. That 6 months tend to be 6 years. And I I had one rule. If I'm doing something, whether I like it or I don't like it, I have to be really good. So I was very young, I was very hungry, and I wanted to learn quickly. So I threw myself into work. I learned so fast, and I had the opportunity to be promoted early, which was a blessing and a curse. Because it was a blessing because it put me way ahead of my peers, and it pushed me to learn quickly, but at the same time, it was very heavy on me. Um, then I left that job in the hotel after 6 years, and I went to work for a ground service company. And from that, then I got offered to move to Dubai. And when I got the offer to move to Dubai, I had to change a lot. So first I changed career because I was in HR. I took a decision not to be with HR. I was in hotels and the new offer was in automotive. And I was in Sudan and now I have to go and live alone by myself in Dubai. So I changed function, I changed industry, I changed countries. And after I was a manager, I had to go back and be an individual contributor. So when I went to Dubai, I had one goal in mind, that I am late already. And we're going to talk about this a bit um, later. I felt, because of the school I went to, yes, it gave me the basics, but there's a big difference between education and practical experience. So most of the materials that they teach in school and in universities and in college, most of the time these materials are quite old comparing to how technology and things have moved. So for example, if you are studying marketing and they are teaching you the 4 B's and the 6 B's and the fundamental of marketing that was built back in the 60s or even earlier than that, yes, yes, these are the fundamental of marketing, but it's not relevant today because marketing today is mostly digital and social. So it's a bit different. And most of the time, people who are teaching these materials, they're not updated with the latest in technology. And this is something is very important for you because you are lucky, but also this is something that you need to pay attention to. Anyway, so I had to work more than anyone else to catch up. I had to teach myself a lot of things. My best friend is YouTube. I am a self learner. Whenever I find out that there is something I don't know, I just go to Google and I start asking, how can I do that? I go to Reddit, I go to YouTube, and I watch 4 or 5 videos. I figure it out. I ask people, whatever. So I worked with Al-Futtaim. I worked with Toyota and Lexus. That was a really good job. Al-Futtaim is a company that works a lot with American companies and they bring the latest technology to the company. So I was very privileged to work with the latest technology. And this is something is very important. The companies you work for can teach you a lot because some companies are really, really eager and adamant about having the best technology. So I worked for Toyota and Lexus for a couple of years. Then I was headhunted by General Motors. And here is a story for you to remember. I decided to leave Al Futtaim and I started to apply for a job. I fixed my resume, I fixed my LinkedIn profile, I started to be active and applying for a job. And for a couple of months, I was applying, nothing was happening. Then there was an event, and I decided to go. So I went for that event and sat next to me an American Black lady. We started to chat. Where are you from? I'm from New York. Where are you from? Oh, that's a long distance. What brought you to buy? I work for General Motors. What do you do? I work for Toyota. We started to chat. End of the day, I took her LinkedIn. She took my LinkedIn and I left. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from an HR lady, work for General Motors, said, I got your LinkedIn profile from one of the managers who are working with us. We have a job. Would you be interested? So that's a lesson for you. Your job might be available anywhere. Anyway, gonna move. So I moved to General Motors. It was a regional job. I was in charge of 15 dealers in 7 countries. I went to Saudi, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Lebanon, Jordan, and I started to work across the region. I had a team and I was promoted. I was got the best employee of the month. And I went for vacation. I came back and there was a redundancy. So, and I was made redundant. So now I am the hardworking, the one who just got promoted. I was on the cloud for 2 years working for General Motors, and now I was made redundant. So that was hit me hard. But this is the time where you need your faith. Because at that moment, I literally spoke to Allah and I was like, Allah, I did everything as I know. I worked hard. I did my best and I don't understand the reason, but I'm okay with it. That was in November 2018. And then in December, a friend of mine said to me, we're going on a short trip. So we go for a short trip. And I am on the plane, and the lady who took my position called me when I was on the plane waiting for it to go. And she asked me to help her with something. And I helped her. I closed the phone and I started arguing with my friend. My friend was telling me, why are you helping her? She just got your job. And I was like, it's not her mistake. This is not her fault. It's the company decision. And then the guy sitting next to me started to ask me, what do you do? I listened to what you're saying. What's your background? We talked. He gave me his business card. I gave him my LinkedIn profile. And that's it. I went on a trip. I enjoyed the time with my friends. I come back. A week later, I get a call. And the recruiter says to me, we got your profile through our COO at that time, and we have a job for you. And I was like, okay, looking for a job. I'm out there. I just lost my job. So I went for interview, and it was a tiny office with people packed. And I remember walking after the interview, calling my best friend, saying, I feel bad for myself. I just used to work for one of the biggest company in the world. And now I'm being interviewed for this small company, Shady. I don't know what is it. And anyway, so I get home. They ask me to come back. I go back. I meet another person. And this time, a big guy, Saudi guy with like a jalabiya and a long beard. And I was like, oh my goodness, would never be hired. I'm not like, I was not wearing tarha. I was like, this guy's not gonna hire me. And he asked me a lot of questions. I asked, and I went home. The next day they called me and they say, you got the job. That's the second surprise. And then I was like, okay. Then they asked me, what's your salary expectation? And now I am okay. Like, I want the job. I want to work. I'm jobless, but they would not be able to pay me what GM used to pay me. But you know what? I'm just going to throw it. So I said to them, this is what I used to get. And then, to my surprise, the recruiter says, it's okay. That's within the budget. I was shocked. And then I realized that my search was not thorough about the company. I didn't take that seriously. I went back and I discovered that this startup was just bought by a German company for $100 million. And let me tell you, if you ask me, like I worked for big companies, I worked for Google, I love Google. But if you ask me what's the best job I ever had in my life, it was the job that I got when I worked for Carriage. It was a startup, it was a small team, it was the best. But here's a couple of lessons that you got I learned from here. Bad things happen for good things. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. Like, if you did your best, good things are going to come your way. That's number one. Number two, you never know who you meet where. So be good, be nice to everyone that you meet. Third one, perception. I like when I looked at Mr. Yusuf and I saw the beard and I just thought of like, oh, I'm not gonna be hired. Like he's not gonna hire me. But he turned to be a really, really one of the best people I ever worked. So we have a lot of wrong perceptions about, and when I looked at that tiny office, I never imagined that tiny office, a German company paid 100 million for it. So whatever on the facade, not necessarily the true reality. Perception is not always the reality. Anyway, I worked for Carriage. We did amazing stuff. I had amazing team that I'm still um, friends and in connection with until today. We had 5 offices in 5 countries, and then Corona happened. And because we were doing really good, the company was acquired by another company. I think most of you knows it. Talabat acquired our company. And then I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I said to myself, I want to work for one of the big 5. And the big 5 for me at that time, I had Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and Oracle. I wanted to work for one of those 5 companies. And I put my plan. Something about me, I am a planner. I plan for everything. So I put a plan that I want to work for those companies. First, I started to look at the roles, the culture, what they're looking for. I fixed my CV based on them. I had a CV for each one of them. I optimized my LinkedIn profile. I started to connect with people. I got to know what's their internal program, referring system. I did a full study about those 5 companies and I started applying. And I end up having interview with Microsoft, an interview with Amazon. And I didn't get any of the 2 jobs. I reached one of them, I got like midway for Microsoft. For Amazon, I got until the final interview and then I lost to another person. And I was like, okay, it's gonna come. I'll just continue until something else comes. Meanwhile, I started my own company. And 1 year after I started my own company, I get a message on my LinkedIn profile from a recruiter from Google. And I thought it's a scam at the beginning. And she was like, I'm a recruiter from Google and we have a job. Would you be interested? Sure. And yeah, so I started the conversation. It took me almost 4 or 6 months until I finalized the job and I moved to Dublin. So that's kind of, so I moved to Dublin. I moved to Google. I worked there for 3 years. Last year in September, I decided to move out, take a break. And I also got an offer from another tech company that I can't disclose now, but you will soon know about it. But I needed a break. So I left Google. I took a break because I had a non-compete disclosed. So I took a break, and now I am in the break waiting for my the new one. So this is kind of my story from just a small secretary in Rotana. That's me in 2007, office coordinator in a Salam Rotana. That's my first job. 16 years difference, 7 companies, 7 promotions, 12 countries, and where I am today. So, couple of things I tell to everyone who I mentor or I coach or I cross. People tell you don't jump a lot. Don't give a shit about that. I started in HR. I studied statistics. I started in HR. Then I did business analytics. Then I did marketing. Then I did sales. And I did now back to advertising and media. So you can change whatever you want. I started in hotels, I went to airlines, then I went to automotive, and I end up in tech, and now I am in AI, something completely different. I was started in Sinan, I worked in Dubai, but I also worked across the GCC. I moved to Dublin, which is a European, and I worked with a couple of clients in the US and in Europe and in Singapore. So it's your story to tell the way you want it to tell. And that's very important. Each one of us has a story to tell. It doesn't matter how long, how short. Your story is for you to tell. So you can change industry, you can change jobs, it's normal not to know what you want to do. It's normal to be confused. It's normal to have a hiccups and challenge and problems. Life is not pinky. Life is tough, but it's also nice, right? So it's in us to cry and laugh. That's life. That's how it is. So that's my story. And I always talk about the stuff, the good stuff that happens to me and the bad stuff that happens to me, because that's what you're gonna go through. You're gonna have good days, bad days, tough days. What you need to do is you just keep going, always be the best version of yourself. This is a quote that I love. And if you met anyone who worked with me, they're gonna tell you that anywhere I go, any desk that I had, except in my last job in Google, because we didn't have a specific desk assigned to anyone, you will find me putting this in front of me. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. If you have a dream, hold on to it and go after it. And if you don't, today is the day to get one. You need one. So that's the story. And faith is something which is part of us. So whether you are Muslim, you're Christian, or whatever religion you follow, faith is something that's very, very important, because life is tough and unfair sometimes in our perception. Allah has his own way of looking at things and fair and all of that, but life is tough, so you need your fair with you all the time. Okay, cool. So that's me, that's my story, and that's what qualifies me to talk about everything we're gonna talk about next. So we're gonna talk about what holds us back. And this is not gonna be a therapy session, and I don't have all the answers. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna touch on the stuff that hold us, right? And why? I might not cover everything, but I'll try to cover everything that I know. So for me, what I saw with everything that I've been through with my life so far, that in general, there is 7 blockers that stop us from going after what we want, or block us or hold us back. 1, false perceptions. People like me do not work there. When I made the list of the 5 companies I want to work for, I did not put Google in that list, because my perception was Google only hire people from Ivy League schools. Google only hire people who are super intelligent. So I did not want to go there, which is wrong. That's not wrong. That's not true at all. So we have a lot of false perception that people who looks like me, or people like I am an example of everything. Like, I'm Black, I'm Muslim, I'm a woman. I don't come from like a first world or like a, a rich family, everything. But I never thought of any of these. Like, they don't matter. What matter is I'm good at my work and what I can bring to the table. That's the only thing that matters. So we have a lot of false perceptions. So today, whatever the perception you have about whatever it is, you need to throw that out of the window. Because sometimes we think we know. And here is the thing with perception. The minute we perceive something, like, for example, if I thought people like me don't work there, then I'm not going to do anything. Khalas, I close the door. But if I turn that and say, everyone can work there, then the next step for me, what do I need to do to be one of those people? And that's completely changed the narrative. So it's very important. Number 1, get rid of your perception, whatever it is. In any situation, do not assume that you know. No, you don't. And second one, fear of rejection. We are afraid of being told no, because being told no sting. It's nice, like it's embarrassing, and it's you sometimes feel ashamed because you've been told no. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. It really, really doesn't matter. There is a guy. What was his name? His name was Jay Jang. I will put the link later on. He has a TED talk that had over 6 million views. And his TED Talk was 100 Days of Rejection. So this gentleman had a problem with, like, he had an issue because he was so afraid of being rejected. So he decided that he is going to go out every single day for 100 days, and he is going to ask people for a very weird stuff. Like, he went to one of the security and he said, "Can you give me $1?" And he went to someone else and he said, like, he started to ask people for weird stuff. Sometimes they said no, sometimes they actually said yes. And that's 100 Day of Rejection ended being a whole experience because he documented it. And he ended up writing a book about it. And now there is a whole training program built about that. So why we fear of the rejection? Because we take it personal. When someone say no to us, we think we're not good enough. And that's most of the time not the case. When you reach out to someone and someone say, "Sorry, I'm not going to help you," that's them deciding not to help you. That doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're not good enough. So we are afraid of no. And no is just a no. Doesn't mean anything. This person said no. The next one said no. The third one said no. So what? Last time I talked about the CEO and founder of Canva. Every one of you, most of people now use Canva and know Canva. And the CEO of Canva, her name is Melanie. She talks about how many times she had been rejected. She had been rejected over 100 times. For 3 years, she was trying to get funding for her startup idea. 3 years, 100 rejection. And finally, she got it. And now Canva is valued at billions of dollars and one of the biggest startup world. She comes from a very humble background. She's a very sweet lady. I would advise you listen to her. I remember Airbnb CEO as well. Rejection is part of life. If you are going to take it personal, you're not going to move in life. So you need to be okay with that. You will hear a lot of no. You will be denied certain promotions. You will get rejection letters. You will be told no to requests, but that's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. No, it's just a no. That's it. Has nothing to do with you. Another thing that's hold us back is fear of failure. What if I messed up? I love to I like when we were young, my dad used to tell us a lot of prophet stories, like قصص الأنبياء. And so I love these stories. And like in Quran, there's a lot of stories about Moses. And Allah tells a lot of stories about him killing a man and then getting into another fight, and then Allah tell him to stay and then he comes early. There's a lot of stories about that. And then there is Qasat Yunus and how he got angry and he went. So there's a lot of stories that Allah tells us about. In order for you to get to where you want to be, you have to fail. Failure is part of your journey. At the beginning of my career, I told you guys I was promoted early, very early in my career. And that was a blessing and a curse. The blessing, as I said, because I moved ahead of my peers. I learned a lot of things. But I also did a lot of things wrong. But the lesson I learned from these failures, there was the best. I'll tell you a funny story. It was in my first job. I used to they were handing over. I will never forget this story. They were handing over the hotel. So when the construction company hand over to the management company, there is a process called snagging, which basically the management goes room by room and there is a list, and then we check one by one, like literally a list that has like over 100 items, and you do it room by room. And I was on the computer and there was two people with me, and we finished a full floor. That's, I think, around 20 rooms or something. And I forgot to save the document. I don't know what happened. So I like it was like the manager, the two guys wanted to kill me that day. And for the next 6 months, they only called me Save. They changed my name to Save. But that lesson, that mistake that I made me super, because it was first of all, it was, I think it was in my second or third job week on the job. And I was so scared, but I also felt so guilty because we had to do it again all over. But that mistake I made, it made me super, I wanted to compensate and I wanted to be super careful after that. And being super careful and being super focused made me one of the best people doing the job. So and now people started to talk about how good I am in my job. So our failure are sometimes the stepping stone into the best version of ourselves. So don't be afraid of failing. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of messing up completely. And here's my advice: own your failures. Do not hide from them. Do not try to push them under the rug. Own them. And something very important, here is something I heard, I don't know from whom, I can't remember, I'm bad with that, but I remember I heard it a couple of years back. There is a difference between I am bad, I did something bad. So when you fail in doing something, it doesn't mean you are failure. It means you failed in doing X. This is, most people say, I didn't know, I didn't, like, if someone did something wrong, they they start saying, I am failure. You're not failure. You're not defined by one mistake or one thing that you did wrong. You just failed in that particular thing and you learned and you're going to do it better. Same like when you fail in a class. A lot of people, when they fail in a class in university or in the school, they start thinking, I'm stupid, I'm not good, I'm not one of the smartest people. No, you failed. Could be you did not study enough, you did not pay attention enough, you were sick, something, there's something. So if you didn't study enough, you own that. I didn't study enough, that's why I failed. But it doesn't mean you are not good. So the minute you separate the two, a lot of things makes a lot of things. So we feel failure, don't feel it. Don't be afraid of it. Fail. There is a book called Fail Forward that when you fail, just pick up yourself. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. What matters is how quick can you get up and move forward. Imposter syndrome. So, what did we said? We said there's people who have false perception. They think they don't belong into that. They cannot. This is not for them. There's people who fear of being rejected. They don't want to be rejected. There is people who feel of failure. And there is people who have imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is when someone who's really good think I am not good enough. Did you ever hear your best friend or a friend who's very smart saying, oh, I'm not smart enough, I'm stupid? Or did you hear your best friend who's very pretty say, oh, I'm not pretty? Or someone who's very thin say, oh, I need to lose weight? Imposter syndrome is when person who's really good think I am not good enough. And it could be for a lot of reasons. Sometimes people are being held to a high standard. So some people grow in houses where you're only good at school if you are the first in the class. If you're the second, the third, or 10, you're not good enough. Who said so? No, that's not true. Because success in life has nothing to do with being the first in the class or the last in the class. So imposter syndrome is something very real, and it always mostly happens to high achiever, the top in the class, the high achiever at work, people who are very, very successful. You never think. And here's the thing. So when I got into Google, you think like Google, people are very smart. A lot of them have imposter syndrome. And you kind of realize that people, even at leadership skills, people are like VB and like senior directors and they have imposter syndrome. So it's normal. What you need to do is you need to be able to ground yourself. And imposter syndrome is always your confidence and self-awareness is very important. So sometimes a lot of people think, oh, I'm not good enough for that. Who said so? If you have imposter syndrome, it's very important to have people around you who can lift you up. It's very important to have people who tell you, hey, don't talk to that like yourself. Be nice to yourself. You're good. You need someone to cheer you up, to remind you how good you are and bring you back. So that's a very important thing that holds us back. A sad one is trauma and self-worth. This is a very important one. This is the one that a lot of people go through. People who've been told at certain stage in their life that they're not good enough, or they're not meant for success, or they don't deserve to be successful. It could be a stupid teacher, it could be a bully in the school, it could be unkind friend, it could be, unfortunately, sometimes parents. They say it when they're like in a rage or something. So, and maybe someone who went through a very traumatic experience. But self-worth, when someone feel that they don't deserve success, they don't deserve good stuff for whatever reason. I don't know who you are, where you are, but if you're listening to us today and you feel like that, I want you to know that you deserve success. Everyone meant for success. Everyone has a chance to succeed. Everyone deserves. It doesn't matter what you've been told in the past. It doesn't matter what you have been conditioned to feel or to think. You are worthy of success. And if anyone who's going through such a feeling, you need help. You can't do it alone. And you could ask for reach out to people, like there's a lot of things. You could also listen to a lot of there's a lot of channels in YouTube that talks about that, but reach out to people. I would, if you feel like that, please reach out to me. I would love to help. Do not let that limitation hold you back. And here is the thing. One of the things that I love to read is read the biographies of this very successful people. You will realize that those people have actually went through a very traumatic experience, right? And that's why they've been and they were being told they're not good enough, but they thrive and they survive and they actually made it big in life. So listening to the stories of people who were successful, but they had a very traumatic experience when they were young, it makes you feel you're not alone. And if they can make it, you can make it as well. So that's a very important one, very sensitive one, but it's also very important. But whoever you are, everyone is worthy and deserve a success. Perfect timing. A lot of people think, oh, okay, I want to do this, but not now, maybe in 2 years, maybe when I graduate. The best time to do anything in life was yesterday. The second best time is today. Tomorrow is not an option, right? So if you want to do anything in life, get up and do it. Do not wait for the perfect time, because there is no perfect time that's going to come. So and later on, we'll talk about how you need to start before you are even ready. Just to start. There's no perfect timing. This is just a trap. It's an illusion. It's you trying to convince yourself. It's like someone who says, okay, I'm going to start praying tomorrow. You want to pray? Go and pray today. I'm going to exercise tomorrow. Or on the first of the month, I'm going to start exercising. No. You want to exercise? Get up now and go and exercise. So there's no perfect timing there. As I said, the perfect timing was yesterday. The first perfect time is yesterday. The second option is today. That's it. So anyone who says, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that, but I'm still young, I'll do this later. Bullshit. Too late. Lack of action. A lot of people are dreamers. Yeah, I want to do and I want to do and I want to do and I want to do. And they have a vision board and a bucket list. Dreamers. If you don't do something, just remain a dream. So you need to be a doer, right? And people will give you all the excuses. Oh, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do that. There's something called internet. There's something called TikTok. There's something called YouTube. Just go search, how do I do X, and start. So that's also something hold us back. Like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, I don't know how to find. Can you do? That's just excuses. So these for me are like the 7 things that hold us back. And if you notice, all of them are mindsets, right? So we believe that certain people get those jobs. The truth is, no. People who got these jobs, they worked for it. We believe that we're not good enough or we're not smart enough. Skills are built, not given. Speaking, presentation, language, negotiation, problem solving. These are the skills that matters at work. All can be taught. So it's not, you're not born knowing how to negotiate or to sell or to present. You learn. So you can learn it, whatever you want. I don't have the right background. You create your own. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Your background does not matter. Your circumstances does not matter. Whatever circumstances you have, whatever background you have, there is someone who had similar or even worse, and they made it. So if they can make it, you can make it as well. As simple as that. So these are the 7 things that hold us back. And here is the thing, as I said earlier, if you assume something is impossible, you're not going to try. But the moment you believe it's possible, you're going to the next say, okay, I wanna work for OpenAI. Then the next question is, what do I need to do to work for OpenAI? That's become number 2. But if you're thinking, oh, I want to work for OpenAI, but it's only in the US and they don't hire people from the Middle East or from, then you're not going to work. You're not going to do anything to get there, right? This is something I love and I always share. Impossible. Some people choose that. Some people choose to see I am possible. It's the same word, different mindset. Okay, so how do you find the opportunity? So we talked about what holds us back. So how do we find it? The best way to find it, so this is a quote that's very famous by Abraham Lincoln. It's a best way to predict your future is to create it. And that's fact. So there's 3 things you need to keep in mind as you go. There's a job, there's a career, and there is a passion. So what's the difference between the 3? A job is what pay your bills. A career is a long-term growth, path to growth. Passion is what fuels you. So think of someone who love to photo shoot, like photography. He works as a call center, right? Because that's the only job he found in Dubai, right? So that's a job that pays the bill. But their passion is photography, and the career they want to be in cinema, right? So these are kind of completely different. The best situation is when you have a skill that's valuable enough that you can turn it into passion, and that skills can pay you money. So think of it this way. Your job is a necessity to survive. Your career is for you to grow and nourish, and your passion is to feel fulfilled. Some people are lucky. Their job and their career and their passion are intersecting. Some people are not. It depends. But what is important is do not chase passion first. A lot of people go after passion first, which I understand. But here is the thing. If you went after passion first without covering the basics, the necessities, you're going to be stressed. So the world is different and there's no right and wrong, and there is different way of doing things. But since we're talking about career, if you found yourself doing a job that's not what you want in the future, the number one advice is not to get into the comfort zone. You need to have a plan. How quick you're going to move from that job to on the career path that you want, and how can you integrate your passion in your life to give you motivation. And it's doable as long as you think. And it's also a journey, because sometimes we don't even know what's our career. We don't even know what's our passion. So exploration is something good. So while you are exploring your passion and trying to figure out what you want to do in life and feel fulfilled, keep your job and your career going on. That's a very important one. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the job markets, because we want to talk about where to find opportunities and how do you land up in companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, and those companies. In the 17th century up to the 19th century, that was the time where the rise of the factories, right? The Industrial Revolution. And then in the 20th century, that was the time where the corporations started, IBM, Microsoft, they started to come to the surface, right? And then after the war, the war, this is the time where there was a knowledge economy. This is the corporate growth. It started consultant, it's IBM, it started to come Deloitte and all of those big companies. And then in the early 1990s to the 21st century, the internet came and changed everything. It's the .com thing, right? And then we had the tech booming and the rise of the tech, the like of Google and the social media company, the Metas and all of those. And recently we have the automation and AI. So this is kind of, when you look at it, this is how the world kind of moved. Now look at the years. So this is a study I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but it's very interesting to look at. This is a study that was published in 2022. And the professor who did this looked at the employments, the type of jobs in the 1940 versus versus the jobs that were in 2008. Right? So the blue was the ones in 1940, and the green are the jobs that they were in 1940 and they were existed still in 2018. And the pink were the ones in 2018. They were not in 1940 there was no pink jobs, right? And the reason is, I wanted to show this because now there's a lot of talk about AI and people are going to lose their job and what's new jobs are going to come to the world and all of these conversations. What you notice that there is a lot of jobs that since the 1940, they're still there. And there is jobs that were there that disappeared. And there was jobs that were not there that they showed up, right? So, for example, if you looked at the production, used to be a big chunk of the 1940, now it's very small. If you looked at professionals, it used to be very small in 1940, now it's huge. So the point is, now there's something also very important. When you look at this, the Industrial Revolution took 140 years. And then the 19th century, like 50 years, then 30 years, then 20 years, then 10 years, then 4 years. Things are moving so fast. And this is something you guys need to pay very much attention. If you're still a student or you just graduated, you need to understand that the market and the job markets are moving faster than the education system. And therefore, your degree is important, but your self-learning is way more important. So yes, get your degree because it's going to open doors for you, and some companies are going to ask for it and all of that. But you cannot rely on what they teach you at school. You cannot. You have to be self-educating. You have to follow the trend. You have to know what's technology. AI, internet is your best friend. Social media, internet, AI are your best friend. And when I say social media, I'm not just saying following like what's trending in terms of dancing. Yes, you can do that because that's funny, and I do as well. But you also need to use social media to your benefits to know what is trending, what is happening in your domain. So that's a very important thing to do, right? So now, where and how do we find these opportunities? So, in my experience, there's 5 places where you can find opportunities. The number one is network and collaboration. The number two is online platforms and communities. The number three is build your own opportunities. And I'm going to tell you. Number four is reverse engineer your dream. What do you want? Find, reverse engineer it. We're going to talk about this quickly. And the last one is search and apply, which everyone does. And you need to do because this is the mainstream. This is how most of people find jobs, but not very effective. But you need to do it. You have to do it. So these are the 5 things. And these things apply to anyone. Fresh graduate, still a student, or someone who have a couple of years in work as well. So I'm going to share this presentation with you so you can have, because I notice now it's not very clear, but I will share it with you and you can go through it in details. But network, if you're a student or you graduate, you need to connect with professionals, industry. For example, if you're studying, I don't know, pick whatever. Like someone tells me who they are studying and on the chat, and we're going to build a story on that. You need to connect with professionals within your domain. You need to go to Google, to DeepSeek, to OpenAI, ChatGPT, and ask them who are the top people influencer in X industry. Go find their Twitter, find their LinkedIn profile, follow them, connect with them. Okay, she's studying marketing. Okay, this one is a bit kind of thing, but for example, you're studying marketing and you are interested in PR, right? You go to LinkedIn and you go to AI like DeepSeek or ChatGPT, and you go to Google and you start searching for top PR influencers, top PR companies, top PR magazines, top PR blogs, and follow all of those and start connecting with people, because those are the people who are going to be talking about what's happening in that industry, what's technology is there, what is trending, what is changing, what's the new trends, so you would know what's happening. Engage in community and Slack, Discord, groups. Every social media now has groups. Find the groups that have people within the industry or the domain that you're looking for and be part of that community. Networking event, career fairs, If you are in health industry and there is a health, don't say I'm not a graduate yet, I'll wait until work. You go, you will find people, you will see who are the people are speaking on the stage. You're going to follow them, you're going to ask them questions, and 90% or 100% of the summits and all of that is actually have a very low rate for student. And if you cannot afford, you can actually write to the producer and say, I'm a student, I'm interested to attend, and I don't have the money to attend. Can you give me a student pass? Or can I volunteer to be part of that? That puts you in the heart of the industry where everyone is there. So there is a lot of opportunities for that, right? Offer to volunteer, be part of online communities, ask for an internship, um, start to train yourself on skills, whatever it is. Like, find something you love. Marketing, find something within marketing, learn it from uh, from YouTube, and go and teach it to the class. Start add value to people before even asking for it, right? So networking and collaboration, people open doors for you. The number one uh, thing that's going to open doors for you is to start building your network. And there is too many good ways to do. There's a book called Never Eat Alone. You can find the audio version of it for free on YouTube. Never Eat Alone. Best book on network, because it will change your concept of networking. People think networking is going to event and having drinks, and no, it's actually the best thing you can do. So I'll tell you a trick that I do. Um, every while and then, I don't do it a lot, but every time I used to add people on LinkedIn, after I add them, I send them a message and I say, hi, thank you so much for connecting with me. I don't I love to create relationship beyond just a connection on LinkedIn. So this is the link to my calendar. If whenever you have time, let's just connect over a virtual coffee or tea. And let me tell you, I had the best experiences meeting people from all over the world, like Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Korea, just because of that message, right? So network and collaboration is the best thing that's gonna open the door. This person that you connect with, you can reach out to them later, because now you made a good impression, and you can ask them to recommend you for a job, or you can tell them, I saw this job and I see that you have a connection with this person. Can you do an introduction for me? But most of people only reach out to people when they want something. Do not do that. Build your network, make a good impression, and it will come a day where you will need one of those people and they're going to open doors for you. Network and collaborations, number one. Number two, online platforms and community. LinkedIn had groups, Facebook groups, Discord, Reddit. Reddit is going to be big. Mark my word. Reddit is going to be big. It's going to be one of the biggest platforms. Um, Discord, Slack. These are all community space. So if you want to learn, if you want to code, if you want to learn to code, if you want to learn to do specific, like be an analyst or whatever you want to learn, go find a community that is specialized in that and be part of that community. That's a very important thing to do. The third one is build your own opportunities. So you, social media is the best. You want to be in marketing, right? I will say, okay, every day I am going to spend 1 hour, learn something new on YouTube, and then I am going to make a 1 minute video or 3 minutes video, because now on Instagram allow us to do that. I'm going to make 3 minutes video to share with people what I have learned today. No one is expecting you to be expert. Just share what you have learned, right? So someone else is really good in engineering. They love to break things and fix them again. Do a video of that. Someone loves to solve problems. So find a problem and solve it and write about it to and tell the world that you did that. And this is what happens is, this is important because this, instead of you going to people and say hire me, people will find you and say come and work, right? When you build your own opportunities, instead of you going to people, people will come to you, right? If you are someone who loves to design, right, and literally go around the restaurants in your area and find 2, 3 restaurants that have a really bad designs, sit down and do a nice design for them and go and give it to them. Pitch yourself in a different way, right? Find something. If you're doing something good and you know this startup is good at it, you do, and you reach out to people. Be bold, but build your own opportunity. You set the rules. You are not the one who chasing people. You take charge, right? In LinkedIn, for example, find, if it's all start with you finding what you want to do. And even if you're a student, there is a guy called, I think, what was his name? I'll put his link. I think his name is Muhammad Yahya. He's a student in the second year in university, literally in the second year. And I love this guy because he literally, what he does is, um he talks about the university and what he's doing in the university. And when he volunteered for something, I follow him. I am actually one of his fan, and I think he has like 2,000 followers or something on LinkedIn, which is not usually expected from someone who's like in still. But can you imagine this guy, he is in the second year. By the time he graduates, he is a bro at LinkedIn and he already have connection, right? If this guy came to me and said, Rizan, be my reference, I will be thrilled to refer him to any position, right? Because I'm actually following him. I like how he's young and he's think out of the box and all of that. So you being a student is not an excuse. You being fresh graduates and not having much experience, not an excuse. There's a lot of things you can do. So build your own opportunity. Reverse engineer. So reverse engineer is, let's say, for example, someone has something, you're a fan of a specific person. This person is very successful. You're a big fan of them and you want to be like them. Go and break down their success journey. See what did they do and reverse engineer it. Do it, like, start from the end, right? But here's the thing. They did it over a long period of time. Now you're learning. So how can you do what they did but faster? And most of the success, if the person that you like their success are very well known people, 90% of the well known people have a biography, have interviews, right? So you can listen to them talk about their journey, you can read their book, You can get to know about them. If that person is not a very famous person, reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a big fan of you. I really want to have a time where you can tell me about your journey, what helped you, and what do I need to do in order to get there. Be bold and ask people for things to do. The last one is what everyone else is doing. Build a very good resume. And every couple of years, the format of the best format resume change. So follow the trend and find out what is the good resume format. There is ATS system that you need to do. Everything is available on YouTube. And you could find all the information you need. um LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn, number one. Like, is if anyone tells you, oh, LinkedIn is dead, I can't find a job, bullshit. Best platform to find a job at. Nothing better than it. Um, Reach out to recruiter. And when you reach out to recruiter, reach out with a specific ask. Recruiters are busy. They receive hundreds of messages. So stand out. Be very specific. Tell them what you want. Showcase that you deserve the job. Prepare. Read about the company, visit the website, check the PR, check the interviews, check their LinkedIn profile, see what's their values, what they stand for. These things makes a big difference. Ask for referral. This is very important. When I joined Google, I find out that in the team that I work with, which is a team of 50 people, I can tell you that those 50 people, more than 30 of them join Google through referral, which means someone from Google internally put them as a referral. So you need refer. You want to work for Microsoft. You want to work for Meta. You want to work for this. Referral is the best thing. But here is the thing with referral. The company won't, because they hired me, right? I am fitting the culture. I am good. They're telling me, you're good. Go bring us another good person. So I need to make sure that I bring the good people. So people are willing to refer you, but you need to make their life easier. So you can come to me and say, okay, Rizan, I want you to refer me to Google. But what am I referring you to? So you need to do your homework. You need to find the job. You need to fix your CV. You need to get a good LinkedIn profile. And you need to tell me, okay, Rizan, this is the job I want to apply for. This is my expertise. This is things. Do you want to know anything about me? Offer to provide information, and people will be happy to promote you. Companies pay employees. Google pay couple of thousands for people when the referral is successful. So they actually get money out of that. So no one would not want to refer someone, but also no one want to refer someone who's not good. So you need to make sure. So when someone goes to your profile, they need to say, oh yeah, this is an interesting person. This is an active. They talk. So that's a very important thing. Referral is a very, very important internet. It's the fastest way to get hired in any, and you don't need to know the um uh person. Like anyone who you find them posting about their company is hiring, you can reach out to them, say, hey, I saw you posting about the company. I'm a big fan of this. This is the job I'm interested in. I would love for you to refer me. I'm happy to jump on a call if you want to know anything about me, and make it easy for them to say yes. Most of people make it easy for people to say no, because the way they ask, make it easy for them to say yes. Also, like, for example, if there is a company that you really like, think out of the box. Like, send them a video. Like a recruiter, for example, send them a video about you, right? If Reach out to the CEO, right? Say, hey, I checked, like, um I remember one guy once reached out to us and he was like, "Hey, I wanted to apply for a job and I looked at your website and the website has a lot of issues and are the issues and this is how I can fix it." Right? So he actually sold himself to us, right? So basically you need to think out of the job. Also, there's a lot of hidden jobs. There's jobs that not announced out internally or in certain platform. You remember what I said earlier? Have the groups. So these groups have people that they work for companies. They're looking for someone. So they will be asking the most of the time when there is a job, the first thing the company does, ask internal people, is anyone interested or do you know someone? So that is actually, it saves the company time and money and resources and all of that. Every time you've been told no, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. You ask for feedback. Why am I being rejected? And you learn something, you fix it, and you do better the next time. Always ask for feedback. You got rejected, you passed interview, ask for um, for feedback. Feedback is very important. So, as I said, 4 things: network and collaboration. Number one, online platform communities, build your own opportunities, reverse engineer, and social apply. And here's things about big companies. Big companies, 90% of the big companies are public company. And here's the thing about public companies, everything is out on the website. So for example, Google has internship program, 4 rounds of internship. You can apply. It's open to anyone in the world. If you got in, they bring you in from wherever you are and they pay for your internship, right? So you can be in university and you do internship at Google. There's in Google there is no wasta. There's no someone knows someone. You just go and apply. You need to learn how to use the system. And remember, Google is the one who invented keywords. So if you're applying for wherever, internship, whatever, you need to make sure that you follow the keywords and the system, right? Internship programs are there. There is volunteering, there is project, there is free courses, there is applications, right? And applications, the best way to get in is referral. So that's how you get in. And also you also need to optimize you will hear from a lot of people that Google or Meta or Microsoft reached out to us. If when Google and Meta and reach out, they always reach out through LinkedIn, and they only reach out if your account of your Google LinkedIn account is optimized for that. So you need to be ready, right? I love that quote says that, I don't know what's happening here. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere. They're gonna come everywhere. So when you're ready, when you're prepared, when your LinkedIn profile is there, when you're optimized, and when you put yourself out there, and when you know what you want, it's very easy for opportunities to come to you, right? So I think I'm gonna just quickly go through these ones. I'm not gonna spend any time on them because I want to open the next half an hour just for the questions. These are things that I want each one of you to remember and keep in mind and carry them with you. Number one, be curious. Always be very curious. Ask a lot of questions. Curiosity is something that's very important. You know who are those people? The first guy is Benjamin Franklin. This is the guy who invented what did he invent? Oh my goodness, I totally forgot. I put him for a reason. Yeah. Okay. So the first electricity experiment, he did it, right? So, and then we have um what happened to me? And then we have the guy on the left, Freddie. He kind of came up with the idea of the electric generators. And then we have Thomas Edison, everyone knows him, and the electricity power distribution. And then we have Nikola Tesla. And on the right, the two guys giving each other their back, those are the two guys that they developed the protocols that called TCP and IP. This is the backbone of the internet that we are allowing us to have this conversation today. And the guy at the corner, Tim, this is the guy who came up with the www, which is like the website and all of that. If there is one thing about those people, they were curious and they are asking a lot of questions, right? They did not kind of settle for whatever the situation they are. They asked a lot of questions. So be curious and ask a lot of questions and question everything around you. Educate yourself. Yes. University is important, but as I said, today everything is moving very fast. You need to learn something new every day. Educate yourself, read books. So I love this. I'm gonna send you this. This is a literally 25, since we're in 2025, 25 ways that you can learn things apart from going to school, right? There's so many ways, and everyone learn different. So find how do you, some people love to read, some people love to listen, some people love stories, some people, whatever it is, find how do you learn, how your brain works, and just do things. For me, when I want to learn something new, I first thing I do my research. I make social media works for me. I go to social media, I start search and like. And what happened when we search and like? Start to come to us. So you make social media works for you. Then you practice and you talk to people who are expert in that, and you also share knowledge. We learn a lot when we share knowledge with people. You know those people who hide their class and they don't want to share with people because they want to be the first in the class? Screw them. They're not going to go anywhere in life. You grow by sharing. Knowledge is not exclusive. Knowledge is for everyone. Ask for feedback. Feedback hurts. When someone tells you you didn't do it good or whatever, it doesn't feel good. But you will not grow and be a better version of yourself if you're not used to ask for feedback. And do not take the nice answer. Always ask, what can I do better next time? What do I can do? And get used to receive negative feedback. It's okay. It hurts, it stings, but it's okay. Build confidence. This is very important. Confidence open doors for you. It's a difficult one, but it's important. Confidence is very, very important. Learn how to sell yourself. Be visible. Tell the world how awesome you are. Tell the world how smart you are. Tell the world how curious you are. Tell the world how fucked up you are. It doesn't matter what you tell, but sell yourself. You need to be able to tell the world about you, your story, and what you do in life. Work smart, not hard. Don't work hard, but work smart, right? Like, very important to learn to work smart, not hard. Because otherwise, I'll tell you what will happen. Someone else who is working smarter is gonna come and skip you and be your boss or take your place when you're working hard, and then you're going to come and cry, and you're going to say, I'm working harder than this person, but they got promoted, or they got the job, or they got more money. They're smarter. Tough luck. Be the idiot in the room. What that means, if you are in a room where you are the smartest person, you are not in the right room, because then you start to get cocky and you start to think you're better than the others and you're not learning from others. So be in rooms where people are smarter and people that you can learn from. We are shaped by the people that are around us. There's a study that was released a couple of years back saying that if you sitting next to a top performer, your performance are likely to be increased by 30%. Just sitting next to a top performer. Forget being a friend with. This is a picture I like. It's called the PayPal Mafia. I don't know if you know them, but this is actually not a movie. This fat guy in the back here, this is the guy who created LinkedIn. Two guys, they're the ones who created YouTube. There's another one here who created Yelp. Every person in this picture was an engineer in PayPal. PayPal is the first company that Elon Musk created back in 2012 and was sold in 2016 or 18 for 1.4 billion. But it was the first online financial transaction. It was the startup, and those were all engineers who were they were broke. They didn't have anything. But what brought them together? They were smart and they were hardworking and they were in the right time, right place. Each one of them end up creating their own companies that today is making a million. There is an article about each one of them. I'm gonna post it for you guys, but this is called the PayPal Mafia. I brought it because I want you to remember you are a reflection of the people you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people who are ambitious and they want to grow and they want to do great stuff, you're going to be one of those people. If you're surrounding yourself with empty, shallow people who fight and jealous of each other and whatever, you're going to just get sucked into that drama. So be in the right rooms. That's very important. Lift yourself another. No one makes it in this life by themselves. And alone, you can only go fast, but together you can go so far. Lift yourself another. When you lift other, the rewards are amazing. And this is something, actually, this terms in particular is one of the values that we have in Google. Lift yourself another. It's actually a really important one. So I love lift yourself another. Have a mentor and a coach. Seek them, chase them. Here is an insider tip. Every coach, to get their certificate, they need to make around 100 hours of coaching. So 90% of people who want to be coaches, they're actually looking for people to coach. And like, if you reached out to people, here's the thing. If you want someone to mentor you, find 10 people that have the experience you want, reach out to the 10. Out of the 10, 2 will say yes. And that's all what you need. So it's a game. So find a mentor, find a coach. There's a mentor for different reasons. There's a coach for different reasons. Whatever the skill that you want to grow, find a coach or a mentor to help you grow. Hold on to your values. So here's the thing. Life will throw a lot of things onto you. And sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation where you will have to compromise in order to get what you think you want. And it's tough choices to make. But I love to hold on to my values, like be a good human being. right? Hold on to your values. And it might not serve you well sometimes. You might feel you lost, but it will pay off. So hold on to your values. Be proud of who you are. Wherever you come from, it doesn't matter. You be proud of your background, of your family, of your religion, of your heritage, of your roots. You will be in a room with people who would want to make you feel small or less, or you don't have the right background, or you don't have F them. Okay? Sorry for my language, but I don't care. I am very proud of who I am, where I come from, my skin color, my hair texture, the way I come. I am a proud. You want it? I'm loud and I'm about. You're happy with that? I'm gonna like enjoy being your friend. If you're not, go get someone, be with other people. I'm not leaving the room. You're not comfortable, you leave, right? I am not. So be proud of who you are, whatever it is. There's a lot of things happening now. There's Islamophobia. There is, I don't know, like there's a lot of drama about sexuality, about religion, about where are you from. There's a lot of things that gonna happen. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, be proud of who you are. Take action before you're ready, because you will never be ready. So don't say, oh, okay, I need to finish that course in order to do that, or I need to do that in order to do that. No, you don't. Just start. Whenever, just start. Even if you're not ready, start. Be ambitious. Shoot for the star. Whatever your dream is, do not think, oh, I can't. Okay, you want to go to NASA. Don't think, oh, okay, I am in Morocco. I can't go to NASA. No, you can. Then just don't think of that. Think of what do you want? I want to be CEO of the biggest company in the world. Yes. What do I need to do? So be ambitious, be ambitious, be ambitious. Say yes more often. What do I mean is try new things. And sometimes it's good to surround yourself with crazy people. I have a crazy friend called Christina. She always comes with the crazy things. Like she makes me walk for 8 hours. Like literally, she made me walk for 25 kilo. And every time she comes up with the new things. Like every time she comes, is like, let's do this. And I have a kind of back with her that I am gonna be the friend who will say yes to trying new things. So I try new food, I try new culture, I try to do whatever it is. So yes, be part of projects and get out of your comfort zone. Say yes to things. Don't say, oh no, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. You don't need to like it. Try it first and then decide. Be bold. Be bold, ask for things, reach out to people, be shameful, ask for things. If you want something, get it. Be relentless. Don't give up. If someone said no to you, okay. Is there a specific reason for no? Is there anything I can do so you can change your mind? No, okay. I asked one person, said no, I'm gonna ask another 9. One of those is gonna say yes to me. So be relentless, never give up. And the last thing is know your destination. Know where are you going. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be grand. Just know your destination. Like, I know what I want to do this month. I know what I want to do this year. I know what I want to be in 5 years. It doesn't matter. Know the destination, because the minute you know your destination, then the next question is, how am I going to get there? Am I going to take a train? Am I going to take a bus? And what is my Google map to get there? So that's it. Um, for me, I hope I tried. I think there was so much stuff, but I tried to cover as much as I can. And yeah, so these are the 17 things, and you can ask me any question that you have. I can see that there is some on the chat, but that's it from my side.
That was amazing, Razan. The session was so full of information, so full of insights, and your experience has just showed us that everything could be possible, and we shouldn't limit ourselves on the things that we believe that might be unreachable. This was really amazing. Thank you a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Do you want to read the questions, or how do we go
Yes,
about this?
yeah, I can go on. So we had one
Okay.
question, which was, how can we overcome internal rejection? Intern
Okay.
rejection.
So intern rejection, or like
Eh,
internship,
y-
or internal?
I believe so.
Okay. So we answered two. So let's start with, let's assume it's an internal rejection, right?
Okay.
Right? How to overcome internal rejection? Like, but what would that mean? It means like
Um,
it.
I thought maybe he
Give
meant
us
the
more detail.
internships.
Internship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think here is the thing. There's two reasons for that. Uh, The question is, do they have an internship program or they don't have an internship? Okay. If they have an internship program and they rejected you, the first thing you need to do is to go back to them and say, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I understand that there's a lot of applicants. However, I would like to know, where did I miss the mark so I can do better next time. So that's thing. Another question you can ask is, you can ask, would be, um, what are the top three things that you are looking for the internship person, right? And here's the thing. The internship, usually the process, when a company hire an intern, they know that that person doesn't have the experience. So they usually looking for energy. They're looking for how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, what are the vibes you're giving. So if you're giving the right vibes, then you will get that opportunity. A trick you can do, if there is a specific company and you want to apply for that company, or you want to land an internship, before you do your interview, there is something called informational interview. So reach out to someone at that company, or look in LinkedIn. You'll find people who are intern at Google or intern at X, and reach out to those people and ask them, how was your experience? How did you get in? What was the process? How did you answer this question? How did you answer this question? Or ask someone from the company, what is the culture, right? What does the company value? So, for example, in the interviews with Google, Google wants people who are curious. They always give you questions like, scenario question. If you are in this situation, how are you going to behave? They don't care about the experience. Let me tell you something. I was hired as a regional head of sales without having experience in Google Ads, because they don't care. They can teach you that, right? They're looking for your energy. How do you present yourself? How you do that self. The best thing you can do, Kareem, is you go back and you ask for feedback, and you start from there. And also ask someone from the internal company, what's the culture, what's the value, what do they value, and then demonstrate this stuff in the way that you do. Also, another thing, people sometimes say, I am a hardworking person. Okay, anyone can say I'm a hardworking person, but you can tell me story in the
Mm-hmm.
interview that story says, I was studying and I took this internship and they gave me this project and I worked for 16 hours for 3 days to get that job done. Now I told you that I'm a very hardworking, committed, dependable, without telling you I'm a hardworking. So that's a very important thing to do. Do we have another question?
Not in the chat. If anyone has a question, just make sure to ask. And meanwhile, I honestly have a little question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so usually sometimes when I ask for career advice, I get this tip, which is you don't have to rush, you will learn with time. So how will you be able to know if you are actually rushing to achieve this destination that you are planning to achieve at some point, or you just have to trust the process and keep doing what you are currently doing and not maybe do more or expect from yourself more?
Okay, so I will never tell you not to rush. Rush. Okay, that's number one. Okay. Number two, something that's very important, learn to listen to your internal voice, right? Trust your gut. And if your gut gave you the wrong advice and you end up in a shitty situation, that's okay. You will learn, right? So you are the best one to decide, because here's the thing. Most of the time, when people ask advice, the generation and how they think and how they look at life and jobs are different. The baby boomers and the millennials are different than the Gen Zers. And the Gen Zers are different than the Alpha. So the way, like for me, if someone asks me, I would not answer with my experience, with my like for example, when I was in university, we didn't have internet at home, right? So my journey took time because different things. Today things are different. So what took me a year or two to learn shouldn't take you 2 or a year to do. Because if it took you 2 years, you will find people at your level is 5 years ahead of you. So
Right.
I wouldn't listen to that. Don't rush. But it's I would say it's good to balance ambitious with awareness. So here's the thing. Let's say I want to be a director, okay? And I am someone who's just entered the career, right? If if I just went 1 year and I said I want to be a director, and then in the old book, if you looked at the directors in the company now, the majority of them are 15 years in that company or 20 years experience. But that doesn't mean you need to spend 15 years to be a director. It just means you need to be able to say, okay, I am going to be a director within 3 years from today. But then the awareness part is to ask yourself, what do I need to be able to do? And what skills am I lacking for me to be able to be a director? Right? So that awareness is important. Don't be delusional and say, oh, I'm smart enough and I know whatever and I can be. So the importance is be ambitious, and 100% you will not need to wait. There is today this CEOs and CMOs and directors of companies who are in their late 20s and early 30s, right? So you don't need to wait for 15 years to be a CMO or whatever, but you will have to be drastically, like you have okay, you have to be so good you cannot be ignored, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then have your own journey. right? You have your own journey. So awareness is good, because then you will say, okay, if in order for me to be a director, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, what can I do today that would make me one step closer to me
To
being
where
a
I wanna
director
be.
within 3 years or 5? Exactly.
Okay, that is amazing. Thank you. I got a new
Oh,
perspective.
yeah, good. I'm happy. I don't think we have any other questions, so I
Yes,
think
it
we're
doesn't
3
look like
minutes.
so.
Yeah,
Ah,
and we're just on time.
we got an update from
I don't
Karim regarding searching for the internships.
I'm seeking a data science internship and I struggle to find one in my city. So I switched to search for one in the whole country. I sent to HR and connect with them and 70% declined. Okay. Okay. So Karim, if they declined, that means, okay. So you need to think out of the box. Okay. So there's two things here. Um, I'm not like, how, okay, let me ask you a question and I hope you can answer in the chat. How do you ask for internship? Do you just email them, say, hey, I'm Karim, this is my resume and I'm looking for an internship? So until he
Mm-hmm.
writes, when you get rejections, and it happens a lot, the first thing you need to do is you need to take a step back and ask yourself, how can I do things different, right? So in Karim case, the rejection could be one of three reasons, right? Because all of them rejected. I doubt all of them rejected for the same reason. Actually, first try to connect friendly with them, then attach CV. Okay, cool. So here's the thing, Kenny. I want you to go back to them and ask all of them, hey, thank you so much for your reply. I would love, if it would help, I would love to know what's your reason behind the rejection. This is just for you to have an idea. But here is the thing. Maybe two things. Maybe you need to change the message that you are asking for. Second, maybe you want to change the person you are sending the message to. And third, maybe you want to think out of the box completely. So here's the thing. You're reaching to HR people, and HR people are usually, if they don't have an internship position open, automatically they're going to tell you no. Very few HR people will say, okay, let me go to the IT person or the data person and ask them if they are interested in an intern, right? So I'll tell you, if I were you and I'm looking for this opportunity, I won't only go to HR people. I will actually go to the person that I want to intern under. So if I want to do a data science internship, I'm going to go to the person who is in charge of that section in the company. Go to their page on LinkedIn. Go to there's section called people, and then go to that section and there is a search bar. On the search bar, search for example, the CTO or like whoever the person in charge of that, and write to that person. Okay. And when you write to them in a tone saying, hey, my name, first apologize for just like coming out of the blue, and tell him I am Karim, whatever, introduce yourself in a nice way, and tell them that I'm seeking an internship and this is what I can do and this is what I am seeking to learn, right? So you're not just sending a CV and asking for an internship. You're reaching to the person, and then you telling them what you can offer them, what you can bring to the table, or what you can what you are looking to do. Another thing to look at, if there's any of these companies, they recently launched an article, or they recently did a webinar, or they recently did a research or whatever. I'm not really exactly know where, but I'll find something that they recently did, and I will use that as a leverage. I'll say, I just came across your article, I read it, and I liked what you said about 1, 2, 3. And in my opinion, this and this, and I'm actually looking for that. So that's one of the things. Another thing is, instead of reaching HR, reach out to a person in that company and say, hey, connect with them and ask them, I want to enter in the company. What is the best way to do it? So someone internally can actually tell you who is the best person to reach out to, right? If you have something interesting you're working on. So the idea is to make yourself noticeable, right? And my advice is, try different styles with different people and see what gets you a result better. And so another thing you could do is, I don't know exactly what you do, but something interesting is, if there is a specific company that is you are interested in, do something like, do a small analysis or something is small, whatever, and for them, solve a problem for them or something they're talking about or whatever, and share that with an influential person in the company, right? Open the dialogue and do and then ask for that. Also, sometimes, Karim, the recruiters are used to people sending them messages, hi, and then after a week or asking them for something. So I will say, have a long term and a short term, right? So as I said, reach to someone other than the HR, change the tone of the message, and find something that would gives you a leverage and make you stand out.
Thank you, Razan.
Cool. I think I don't think we have any other questions, and we are just time. So
Yes.
thank you so much for those who joined us today, and I hope you found the session okay. You are welcome, Karim. Yes, I don't know, like so thank you everyone. ممكن مصادر مجانية لتعليم التسويق الإلكتروني. Okay, I will share some links, but I will say your best source is YouTube. It is YouTube University. It's the best place you can learn anything at. Like there's people who sharing a lot of information. There's interviews, there's videos, there's like, it's an amazing. The best place is YouTube. Like it's my best, it's my favorite platform. And everything is free on YouTube.
Right.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed this session today.
Thank you, everyone, and special thank you for you, Razan, because 2 hours and I'm speechless. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.